Hey, okay, so I am looking at this list because late last night, I was working on my writing and I had an idea, and I thought finally I could actually use this. Make great dialogues of Plato. And because it's a science fiction fantasy, and in the story, Atlantis is actually used. And I was like, well, because my brain does things. And I was like, well, so I remembered when I worked on this before, I remembered looking through and I was like, well, is there any kind of evidence of Atlantis having uh, mythology of any kind? So I started looking, and then of course I just got tired and I was like, I'll pick it up again. Well, this morning I was like, well, wait, I have this. And because of Indiana Jones, which I played last week. And yeah, nothing beats a car race in Monte Carlo. Because in Herbie they did that. And I have box set of the Herbie movies. Herbie Goes Bananas isn't that great. That's not the best one. And there is the one they did the Love Bug again uh in the 90s before Lindsay Lohan did her movie. And the funny thing about it is Bruce Campbell's in it and uh Mickey Dolenz from the Monkees is in it. I need to get that one. And of course they had Dean Jones, may he rest in peace. But uh that one got overlooked. And the reason it got overlooked is because of the Brandy Cinderella. So it got overlooked for a good reason. Of all things, Bruce Campbell got overlooked because of Brandy Cinderella, the chin himself. Um, yeah, but that was during the time when Xena Warrior Princess was going, and oh, I watched that like crazy. And I remember the crossover with Hercules. Everybody was ready for that. We were ready and not at the same time. And but the reason I'm looking at this is because now I looked up. Let's see, I gotta go back. Is there still the list? Yeah, the list is still there. Because as it turns out, this, because we've all grown up on Atlantis, the idea of Atlantis, because if not Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis, the little squirrel running around, one of the movies for Ice Age, what's his name? Scrat. And he finds Atlantis and then sinks it again. Or he's the one that sunk Atlantis. So, put this over here. When I was reading up on this, um, this kind of threw me because it was like, okay, so especially because George Lucas likes to use history in his stuff with like Indiana Jones and all of that. And he's pretty accurate for the most part. And when I was reading up on this, the fact that Plato wrote about Atlantis, so we have the idea that Atlantis is there. I remember, I think it was History Channel. I don't remember if it was History or Discovery, but they had, or National Geographic. It was one of those where they had this special where they were going to find where Atlantis had once been. And that was pretty cool to watch. I think it was a 3 episode series. And they were using Plato's writings. And yeah, that was a lot of fun to watch. And I think that was around, well, almost 20 years ago now, because we're in 2025. So yeah, it would be around that time. But um, but as I'm reading this, and again, this is a Wikipedia and everything, so take it with a grain of salt. But as I'm reading it, the things that's being said, it's just like, and I should have thought of this, more in my adult life, because, as a kid, you think, oh my gosh, the city, it was taken by the waves and all of this stuff, and this great tsunami came and just buried it. I mean, we also think of like King Arthur, the legend of King Arthur, and of course the legend of Robin Hood and all of that. All these different kinds of legendary and mythical, you know, captures the imagination. But here's the thing. Despite its minor importance in Plato's work, the Atlantis story has had considerable impact on literature. Yeah, well, yeah. The aspect of Atlantis was taken up in utopian works. Several Renaissance writers, such as Francis Bacon's New Atlantis, Thomas More's Utopia. And I mean, the list goes on there. Um, Again, it captures the imagination, as I was saying before. So we see it over and over and over again. I mean, this happens a lot of times. There's a lot of times where we find it in one work and then people just elaborate on it and everything and on and on and on. Uh, I talked about the woman who wrote the first werewolf story, Biz Claveret. Well, now we have stuff like Teen Wolf, and let's see, as a consequence, Atlantis has become a byword for any and all supposed advanced prehistoric lost civilizations and continues to inspire fiction, contemporary fiction and comic books to film. Let's see. Uh, yeah, such as like Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis. There's another one. I guess there is another video game that uses Atlantis. I'm surprised that Assassin's Creed didn't use Atlantis, or maybe they did, and I just haven't. Yeah, because I haven't played all of them. I'm too busy with Black Flag. I'm sorry. Uh, Edward Kenway, you gotta have your favorite, and he's mine. So I'm cheating on Link, so had to happen. Okay, so here's it says, well, present day um philology, that was the word. Philologists, I guess is what, and classicists agree on I've never seen that word before. I didn't even see that when I read this before. Okay, that's what my dyslexia does to me sometimes. I have never seen that word before. Real time philology, study of language, and okay, I have just never seen that before. There we go. I learned a thing today. Okay, so philologists and classicists agree on the story's fictional nature. There's still debate on what served as its inspiration. So they're saying that it's fiction, that Atlantis never existed. But I always thought that it was real. Now we do know that because there are people that will dive underneath. I think there was like there's not a city, but just something down, not in an ocean, but so much in Egypt where there you see Egyptian relics and everything on the bottom of the ocean and everything. And you also have to consider that what was on land in ancient times is not on land anymore. There are shifts that happen and everything. I mean, like up north, we used to camp up there all the time. And in the summertime, there's a lake bed and it'll be dry. So when we would go there to camp, the lake bed was dry, but in the wintertime, the lake was there. So yeah, there's just yeah, inter I'm sure it's like that in other places and everything. And but in the case of the relics on the bottom of the ocean, where you see these beautiful, elaborate mosaics and everything, obviously it was a place where people stood, not so much anymore. And but but like with here where it says Atlantis was a fictional place. They agree that uh Plato, what he's talking about is just complete fiction. This is what? Excuse me? Time out. What are you saying? So there's still debate on what served as its inspiration. So, okay. So what you're saying is it's kind of along the same lines of like in the Odyssey, Homer took someone that he knew. Odysseus is someone that Homer knew, and he or like this, you know, celebrity type person, and Homer constructed a story around that person. And that has been the debate forever. Was this a celebrity of the ancient time and Homer made a story around it, this hero, so to speak. And because I remember talking about that when I was in high school in my myth and legends class, was Odysseus uh, uh someone that Homer knew or just a complete fictional character? And we'll never know. And but it says Plato is known to have freely borrowed some of his allegories and metaphors from older traditions. Well, people do that all the time. I mean, Plato, I'm sure, wasn't even the first to do that. So they're trying to say here that Atlantis was a metaphor. And I think it says up here, um, let's see, yeah, mentioned in Plato's works, uh, Timaeus and Critias, as part of an allegory on the hubris of nations. In the story, Atlantis is described as a naval empire that ruled all western parts of the known world, making it the literary counter-image of this particular empire. I'm not going to try to say that word. After an ill-fated attempt to conquer ancient Athens, Atlantis falls out of favor with the deities. Okay, so I mean, it's possible that it's just a complete metaphor. You know, yeah, bubble popped on that one. It's- He's a philosopher, this is what he does. He speaks in metaphors, and but at the same time, this is what they have to say. Let's see, where was I? Metaphors from older traditions, as he did with the story of something. Uh, I'm sorry if I butcher this. The Ring of Gyges. Again, I'm very sorry. Is let's see. Let's look at that one. So, a hypothetical magic ring mentioned by the philosopher Plato in his Republic. I have that one. Okay. It grants its owner the power to become invisible at will. And okay. Yeah, that was one of the things that I was looking up. I was looking to see if one of these stories had one of these dialogues had um when I turned on the video and everything, had like Timaeus and the other one that they mentioned, Cretaeus. And I'm sure I'm saying those wrong, and I'm very sorry. Um, because if I had it, I could just read it instead of having to depend on other places, but it looks like I do not have it. This was translated, by the way, by a W.H.D. Rouse, and he translated the Odyssey and the Iliad. I just have never read his. I'm interested to read because I actually found him, and he translated quite a bit. He died in, let's see, what does it say here? 1863 to 1950. This particular one was released, I think I saw 1958. 1956, I was off. And and let's see, editor's note. This translation was one of Dr. Rouse's many labors, and he was unfortunately prevented by the volume of other work which he undertook from giving it a final revision in detail before his death. Oh, that's too bad. In carrying out this revision, the editors have tried to clear up the few inaccuracies and obscurities they found. Huh, I didn't read that part before. And at the same time, to interrupt as little as possible the distinctive character of Dr. Rose's translation. By far, the greater part of his work remains unaltered, but in fairness to him, it should be stated that the divided line diagram, the banquet and cave diagrams, and some of the footnotes have been subs subsequently, I don't know why that was hard to say, added. So any faults in these should be imputed not to Dr. Rouse, but to the editors. The Summary of the Republic, which is also in addition, was written by another Rouse, so it must have been a son, who also assisted in the work of editing. Yeah, I saw those. Let me see if I could find one. Now watch, I won't be able to find one. Oh, good heavens. Oh, let's see. Let's see if I can flip through. Oh, wait. I think I found a banquet. Oh, for heaven's sake. I just saw you. Where did you go? Come out, wherever you are. No, fiddlesticks. Well, I don't see the banquet one anymore. Would have liked that one. But but that kind of thing is what they're talking about, those kinds of diagrams. And so he passed away before it finished, and so they tried to finish it up. Well, that's too bad. And I didn't see that before. And I will be honest, I actually bought this because of playing Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis so many times. I haven't had a chance to actually sit down and read it, and this would have been my chance to actually sit down and read some of it. I did see where there were several notations in here, so whoever had it before made it. I'm wondering if somebody had it for class, because you can see maybe, yeah, there's lines in here, and so yeah, I have a feeling that somebody had it for a class or something. It doesn't bother me when a book like this has notations and everything. I do have a note in here, and I think people were passing notes in class. And I love finding stuff like this in used books. But anyway, so I was hoping that this would uh have that kind of thing. But yeah, Rouse is another one that did that translated the Iliad and the Odyssey. I really wish that Edith Hamilton had, but we just don't have that. She translated out a lot of other things, and we have that, but I'm wondering why she didn't do the Iliad and the Odyssey. I've always wondered that, but she had her reasons. Of course, when I did that video of her, um, she felt like that one lady had bullied her into writing that one book. So maybe that's why. And so I can respect that. He did uh this is one that uh kind of stood out because he did a lot of the ancient Greece and he did the Arabian Nights. He translated the Arabian Nights. It's funny to me how you will look at a particular writer and they will write certain things and then all of a sudden because I have a book that's now I like John Steinbeck, who wrote a lot of those Depression era Grapes of Wrath and that kind of thing. And I know the kind of person that he is, and I'm not interested in that. I like his writings, and I can separate the person from the art. And 'cause I always get backlash for that. It's like, oh, you like Steinbeck? Don't you understand? He wrote good books, okay. But the thing is that he wrote, I believe he translated uh, the King Arthur and his knights. It's a good translation, actually. And it's funny how medieval period had interested a lot of these authors. Now, Mark Twain uh, was interested in medieval times. You know, he did all of those, you know, like Pudd'nhead and all those, and he got into politics a little bit and, and that sort of thing. Mark Twain being Mark Twain, he's a crazy dude and all that. But with his medieval stories, you know, Connecticut Yankee and King Arthur's Court, and he did a couple Merlin stories and that kind of thing. And they're a lot of fun. And I just wish that Hollywood would let go of his Connecticut Yankee and King Arthur's Court. I think the only one I really like is A Kid in King Arthur's Court, the one that has Daniel Craig and Kate Winslet. Because it's so goofy. I've seen the one from the 30s. It's okay. I mean, it has more of the actual story in it, and okay. And of course, we all know that the one with Ash Williams, Army of Darkness, that's pretty much a take on that particular time travel. Yeah, it's pretty much a take on it. I still love it. I mean, Bruce Campbell in the Middle Ages, how can you not? But yeah. So it's funny to another one was you know, Alexander Dumas, who his is kind of all over the place. You know, he wrote Three Musketeers, and of course he wrote Man in the Iron Mask, and uh and then all of a sudden he wrote Robin Hood. He wrote a rendition. I believe it's a rendition of Robin Hood, and which I guess kind of fits, but it was like all of a sudden here's this legend that he and it's funny to me that there are these it still cracks me up because I think I did a video on this and I know it's gone now, but the fact that archaeologists will sit down and react to like The Mummy and Indiana Jones, and it's like, why? Especially The Mummy. The Mummy is just a horror movie. Like, do you not know what the whole premise of the movie? It's a horror movie. And so, like, when you have a historian picking apart Man in the Iron Mask, Man in the Iron Mask is based off of Alexander Dumas, who was theorizing who that guy was. Nobody knew who that guy was. The king and one other gentleman, I think it was uh, the jailer. Two people knew who the actual Man in the Iron Mask was. Dumas didn't know. He was he was theorizing. And to be honest, I think by that point, when the guy was executed, nobody cared. But it made for a good story. So, so when you sit down and you're a historian and you're having a meltdown over the inaccuracy, it's a fiction story to begin with. Alexander Dumas played you. I think that's the funniest part. Gotcha, bitch. Yeah, no, nobody knew who that guy was. That was the whole point of it. There was an actual man in the Iron Mask. He was a criminal. That was it. That was the only thing people knew about him. And he was executed. The king knew and the jailer knew who his identity was. And Alexander Dumas wrote a story about it. It was his theory on who this guy was. My voice is going. But for you to sit there and have absolute fit, like Leo DiCaprio's movie is based off of Alexander Dumas' story. That's that's where we're at. I mean, it's just like I don't know what to tell you. Half the time when I watch these, you know, I love the comment sections sometimes. Like, uh, there was one. Now I know that corsets are coming back, and fine, totally fine. I remember in the early 2000s when corsets became a thing, but it was like the fake ones. Yeah, and I don't remember. Well, no, it was the emo era, and so and especially after that gal and Helena did her dance. Yeah, everybody wanted that outfit, and I think there were a couple other music videos or what have you, and a couple of outfits, and so they wanted the corset thing. But they were the fake corsets, you know. They had the look, but not the actual, you know, whalebone and all that stuff. So, but now people are smarter, and so, but I think it's hilarious that, of course, after I think it was Kim Kardashian wore that outfit, and I don't know what was going on there. It's like it's obvious that it's strung all weird. I mean, when it's going like a okay, yeah, you did it right. I mean, I'm not fashion savvy in any way, but even I could see that it was screwed up. Okay. Um, okay. It's supposed to be in a straight line down your back, but so there's a few channels here that talk about fashion and everything, and especially the corset and how to use it properly and everything. But this one gal decided to bring up the video, the clip from Pirates of the Caribbean. Apparently, that triggered her so much. And there were people in the comment section, thank you so much for bringing that. I was in the theater. And so I went on this gal's channel, the one that said that she walked out of the theater and that it just bothered her so much. She wasn't even alive. If you're gonna lie, do it right. And also, there is no way that that movie triggered you to the point. Were you even interested in corsets at that time? Like, fine, be interested in something, but don't lie, okay? I can't, and you see it all the time. Oh, yes, it just made me so mad when that was laying it on thick, laying it on extra thick. Okay, we get it. You like this thing, but don't overdo it. Okay, and I see it a lot. I like video games, but I'm not going to try so hard to make the gamers like me. Oh my gosh, Assassin's Creed this, yes, and this and that and this. I don't even know half of the Assassin's Creed games. And to be honest, I'm not that good in Black Flag. I'll give you an example. Okay, I don't know everything that I've talked about with my shitty abilities in Assassin's Creed, but so there's this one point in Assassin's Creed Black Flag where you have to follow this guy. First of all, he's a whiny little bitch, but there's this guy that you have to follow, and it's nighttime, and you have to get out of your ship, and you have to follow him through gator-infested waters. And you have to wrestle a gator here. And the guy actually will complain about these gators. He's like, "Oh my gosh, there's a gator, these man-eating gators and everything." And it's like, you're the one that is not getting eaten, first of all, pal. Just shut up. And oh my gosh. So it's bad enough having to go through this run and it's like the eavesdropping thing. I'm so tired of the eavesdropping thing. Again, I know I have been told that they finally dropped the eavesdropping thing and Black Flag is like over 10 years old. So somewhere in that decade they got rid of the eavesdropping. Thank God. Because oh oh my gosh. Well, so this guy is to best describe it, if you've ever seen Bambi, where there's that point where the hunters are coming, and there's that one quail where she's like, he's coming closer. I can't take it any longer. Yeah, he's about as hysterical as these, and it's like you're not the one wrestling gators, having to jump all over the place and make sure that you're not getting shot by these guards and all of this stuff. Playing tag and getting lead poisoning with these bullets. Just, oh my gosh. But yeah. So and and then the game telling you you're losing your target. And it's like, no kidding. You made it this problem. Well, anyway, once you have to, because you have to actually jump this guy and you have to get him. Well, the suggestion that the game gives is such a pain in the ass. It says that you have to like actually tackle him. All right. And I was having fits. I tried over and over and over and over because when he sees you, he bolts and he's like screaming at the top of his lungs. And I was like, damn it. And I tried and I tried and I tried. And it's like he leaves this facility and they close the doors on you, and that it's like immediately you lose your target. And it was like no matter how fast I'd run, I couldn't get to, and I was telling a friend of mine about that. I was like, I don't know what else to do. And he says, just shoot him. I was like, what? And he's like, yeah, as soon as he says pirate, pirate, shoot him. He said, don't hesitate, just shoot him. Don't do what the game tells you to do. Shoot the guy. He says, make sure that your gun is ready and shoot him. I was like, I've been wasting my time this whole time. And so I did that. It took a few times and because he got out of range and I used the uh s- there's a certain um uh mode that you can where you see, kind of like in Legend of Zelda when you have the wolf sense and yeah, this is pirate sense again. With- Yeah, and and you just shoot it. I was like, you got to be kidding. That was one. That was one moment where it was just, oh, that guy was driving me nuts. Not as much as James. James, I can't stand that character. I can't. And James is on my side. He's an ally. I cannot stand James. Say, I mean, there's like at one point where James, you have to tackle James. You can't shoot him, which I wish I could have, but but James, so like there's at one point where James wants to murder one of the guys, that and it's and you have to stop him from doing this, because it's gonna hurt cause or whatever. And because James is a dumbass. So and so James is like jumping all over the place, like he's bouncing up. Who knows what drugs he's on, but he's jumping all over the place and everywhere. And so, and I'm like, Edward, move your bulk. All right, move it faster. You're gonna need to lose some weight. It's like James knows that he can move faster than Edward. And so he's just it's like these are pixelated characters, but somehow James has a brain. This is I saw that movie and it doesn't end well. Oh, yeah, there are times where Edward just does not move fast enough. And I've seen people complain about that, or they're like, he's just he's too boxy. Yeah, it's called muscle. They got that accuracy correct. Oh man. But you see that when he's harpooning. It's like when you're harpooning fish and he stands up, you see all of it. You see all the muscle, all the tattooed muscle on his body. And I love harpooning. That's my favorite part. I do. I enjoy the first time that a shark came up, it was very Jaws-like. The thing is that the same friend that helped me with the guy, telling me to just shoot the guy, the crocodile hunter guy. Um, sorry, that's not that's not nice because I miss Steve Irwin. But so I told him I told him about how the shark came up like Jaws, and I said, but I harpooned him again. And he says, really, you can do that? And I said, I don't know if it affected him. I know with the humpback, it affected. I said, but with the shark, I don't think it did. And so I do it. every time. The killer whale, I believe it did, but with the shark, I'm still not clear if it did or not. But I do. I make sure to harpoon it, and everything. And my dad loves watching that. I can tell because he really gets into it. There's times where he'll get up to get something out of the kitchen, come back, and he's intent on watching it. And especially once I harpoon it and it starts uh pushing the little boat that we have, the harpoon boat. And I mean, he's really watching it. So it's I love having the system out there and my family watching the game and everything. My mom is in denial of liking the game, but when I have the Revolutionary War, because that's her favorite time in history, when I have the Revolutionary War game playing, um, I think that's the third one, Assassin's Creed 3, and there was the one time where the character Hatham is talking to uh, Benjamin Franklin. She was laughing like crazy. She's like, because Benjamin Franklin is talking about being with older women and everything, and she was giggling like crazy because she's like, he actually wrote about this. Oh my gosh. So, so I haven't played all the games. I have the Egyptian one, and yeah. So I don't know. Do they have it? An Atlantis one? They must. And I'll have to look that up and wait for the next sale on Steam and snatch it up. I know that Ubisoft is in trouble right now. I really don't want to get into that. I really don't want to talk about it. And yeah, and to be honest, I don't want to give Ubisoft any money, but I figure, $2, whatever, And but yeah. Oh, um I did say that I played or maybe I didn't. I'm going to now. I played Fate of Atlantis last week and into this weekend. Here's the funny thing about that. As I was going through, I need to make some free patterns and I need to finish Goku. I do know that. And but when I was I'll put it up here. When when I was playing, I suddenly realized there isn't um an icon tray for the inventory of Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis. You could find for Monkey Island. I've even found for Loom and of all games. And, but for Indiana Jones and the Fate of Atlantis, for as popular as it is, there wasn't an inventory list, for the icons and everything. So, and I'm sure that there are people that have made uh their own. So I took the time to do that. Well, I actually went through and because in the team path, if you remember, you trade the mask that you used to scare Trottier, and and there's like 16 items, and I didn't realize there were that many. There was a few of these that I have never used before, like the buckle and the ring. I don't think the comb I used, and the cane I don't think I used. And all the years that I've been playing this game, I don't think I've ever used those. It's, I do remember with there was one time because of course you give this to the grocer so that you can get the squab on a stick. That's the trade that you make. And I bought the soap one time and gave it to him, and he was pretty insulted by that for good reason, obviously. And but yeah, I was surprised. A lot of these are duplicates, like the lamp is closed and then you open it. And the sandwich, you gotta get the uh items and then put them together and then he eats it and that kind of thing. The basket where you make the um I believe that's in the Wits Path. It, yeah, I think that's a Wit Path where you make the balloon and he says I should be featured in Popular Mechanic. Don't get ahead of yourself, kid. I am still trying to figure out why in the Wits Path they decided to have a rubber comb be charged. And that's the because in in the book, and I'm pretty sure I brought this up when I was reacting to the game. Those videos are still up, but in the dialogue, it says that it's um they find orichalcum with amber. So how the hell is this rubber comb going to help with static electricity? But um but yeah, these are all the elements that are used in the game. I don't think I missed one. I mean, even her necklace when she takes over is there. And I kind of wish that she had been used more. And it's kind of too bad that she wasn't used in the Wits Path. I don't remember her being, no, she wasn't. You don't switch over to her anywhere in the Wits Path at all. Oh well. But yeah, it is too bad that she didn't receive more. And I should go through this game again and see if my thoughts still stand as they did. I don't remember when I did that. When did I do that? Let's go look real quick, and then I'll kind of close up here. But let's see. When was that? Da, 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 da. Let's see. It would be in. Oh, let's look at this one. Yeah, it was 3 years ago when I did it. So yeah, I should do that. I should um I should play the game and I should set it up, play the game and go from there. And but anyway, yeah, I mainly did this because, as a behind the scenes, because Atlantis, what do you think? Do you think it's just a metaphor? Do you think it actually existed? Um, and I think we all want it to exist. And because before I went on my tangent, and then I will close up because I am notorious for that. It was saying that let's see, what did it say? Metaphors. This led to a number of scholars to suggest possible inspiration from Egyptian records of the Thera eruption, which was talked about in Fate of Atlantis. I believe it was, well, let's see. I think it was the Fist Path because she was with him in the Fist Path when anyway, whichever path it was when they were on Thera. And they talked about the eruption. And so when you look up the eruption, because let's see, talks about how it was in the uh pretty much in the circular and it's possible that basically it's a metaphor of other events that happened. That Atlantis is mainly Thera. And I don't remember the TV show and what they came up with when it happened. It also talks about the possible inspiration could be the Sea People's invasion, uh, which they are such a mysterious, the Sea Peoples. I mean, I'm not sure. I don't remember Plato ever writing about them. Let's see. The Sea Peoples were a group of tribes hypothesized to have attacked Egypt and other Eastern Mediterranean. Not hypothesized, they did. What the hell are you talking about? During the Late Bronze Age. This is the thing about ancient Egypt. And I mean, look, the Egyptian armies in ancient times were amazing on foot. They were fantastic, but when it came to their navy, they sucked. Okay. They uh, they just weren't very good on sea, and that's why the Sea Peoples annihilated them. Okay. If you want to contradict me, fine, but it's documented. Yeah, the Sea Peoples are a mysterious group. Um, there's very little about them, and there was also one other one. Let's see. Also, the Trojan War. They're trying to say that that was another thing that Plato used, and so yeah, I mean, pretty much Atlantis. Uh, I think we all want it to be real, and did it? Is it spawned from Thera? Maybe it was Thera first. Who knows? Thera was has a different name now. And let's see, what was it? Uh Santorini is what it's called now. But anyway, yeah, so basically this is the kind of research that I do behind the scenes. And yeah, because in my story, Atlantis is talked about, and so I thought I would look it up and this is where I went. It happens more often than you know. Goes everywhere. But yeah, Plato just made it a metaphor. All right, whatever. I'll close up here.